Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is Fazbears Forgotten. Probably the closest we've come thus far to me actually playing Five Nights at Freddy's on this channel, because this is a recreation of the iconic horror restaurant. I have mixed feelings on Five Nights at Freddy's as a franchise, no pun intended, because at its core, I think it's an absolutely amazing idea. Working the night shift all alone at a Chuck E. Cheese-style restaurant, with these things which are intended to entertain and be bright and colorful and bring joy to children by day, but which in reality kind of creep them out as well, and, well, you're living the absolute worst version of that. You're just alone in your booth, the lights are all off, while these humanoid figures just sit silently in the dark. I remember voting for this on Steam Greenlight back in the day because I believed in the idea so much, but when it finally came out, I found I didn't really enjoy the gameplay at all. It's got a lot of cool and really creepy story and lore, but I found that with the gameplay, it doesn't really allow you to engage with that much because you have to get so focused on the mechanics. And the fact that it essentially tells you when you're about to have a Jack-in-the-Box style jump scare, it makes it hard for it to actually be scary after the first few rounds. And it's such a shame because that story is so appropriately creepy. Because look, these animatronics, they don't look like something that's designed to be scary. They legitimately look like something you can picture on stage during a kid's pizza party. And yet, it's through through just the decay of the suits, of the restaurant, of how grimy everything feels, that it comes to take on this feeling of just like a childhood forgotten, something that was once exactly what it purports to be, but now, well, it's just like seeing a mall Santa chugging a cigarette in the back of the alley, you know? So even though I didn't end up liking the game itself, I was still really happy to see it succeed because I thought it was a really cool and original idea. And then it started to get popular with the kids. And look, I'm not something to knock on something just because kids like it or because it gets popular. But they put out like 2 sequels, maybe even 3, in the space of not even a year. The lore started to get like really complicated and confusing. My little cousin tried explaining it to me once and it was making my head spin. And I was like, why am I getting like an entire like Star Wars level of lore from a game about this haunted pizza restaurant? I don't know, I just thought it took something that was really cool and it got too big for the concept. But we don't care about any of that today. Today, we are clocking in and just exploring this place for what it is. So long without sound, that sent a jolt right down my spine. Oh, what, now you're not gonna let me in? Come on. Open up. Just had to step back a bit. Now, one thing I'm not sure of is which game this is going to be drawing its main inspiration from. Because I didn't really follow it beyond the first game, but I know that each one takes place at a different location. Look at that poster. You know, the more you try to convince me that this is a fun place, the more it feels like a trap. Oh, vintage pizza. I was just going to say that this hallway looks more like the style of the second game, but that looks more like the first. So maybe we're going to be borrowing a little bit from everywhere, which would actually be a pretty cool idea for a map like this. And the security booth is a lot bigger and brighter than the one from the first game, but I have to say that comes with its own problems. Look, there's our view. And somehow the openness is so much worse. I would recognize the fan anywhere. See, I will give credit where credit is due. Yes, I'm sure that these things were pumped out to capitalize on the success of the first game, but they did, at least the first couple, really add some fundamentally different things beyond just expanding on the story. So in the first game, you had these doors. Those are your lifeline. Those are how you keep the animatronics from getting to you. In the second game, or at least I think it was the second game, they were removed entirely, which fundamentally changes the way the game is played. It was actually a worthy sequel in that way, even while keeping the gameplay itself sort of the same. Your skills from the first one will only partially carry over. It's a whole new thing to learn. And there is that cupcake. I don't know if there was ever any lore with the cupcake, but I do remember when I played the first one being like, dude, what's with the creepy cupcake? Can we take you with us? No. And in fact, it's pushing me away when I try to reach for you. But yeah, in the first game, you kind of had your little safety bubble in that back office. It was dingy, it was dark, it was creepy. But at least it was your own little space. Here, imagine sitting here while the lights are off, you know? Constantly looking down the hall, trying to squint to see if you saw something move in the arcade floor. Thinking you see something peering around those big open corners. Ugh, heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. Now this is the other thing. It actually has like fully functioning systems, which is really, really cool. That, I imagine, is our timer because we can only keep the doors closed for a certain length of time. And now you'll open again. So what does this switch over here do? That's our light. And that's an open vent that I can see in. God, imagine just sitting here and constantly glancing over your shoulder, wondering if you saw something recede into the vent, something watching you. I don't like standing in this darkness. Wow. Okay, this is already really, really cool, and I'm not even like a huge fan of the series. So can we turn the lights on and off in every location? Oops. Yeah, that's not helping me none. Although, we are gonna have to do a dark explore later. This must be the main dining hall. God, even the chairs look so unbelievably unfriendly, you know? Like something you'd find on an alien ship. This whole thing, oddly enough, is just like almost too sterile for the kind of location this is supposed to be. I almost feel like it would be more comfortable during the day when there's a bunch of screaming kids running around and pizza grease all over the floor. I can faintly hear what sounds like music in my left ear. I know I'm on kind of an arc where I constantly hear things in videos, and I don't know if it's just me. Well, that much at least is unmistakable. This music is just another one of those things that would be creepy enough by day. But when you just hear it echoing off these unnecessarily large halls, it's so much worse. I mean, imagine you're sitting in that security booth and you just hear this start playing, meaning somebody touched the button, but by the time you look at the camera, they're gone. I was probably hearing the arcade machines. But, ooh, what is this over here? An outdoor area? Oh, it's just a whole playground. I had no idea the restaurant was supposed to have something like this. Or maybe it's a creative liberty. This map is made by the creator of many maps that I played before, such as GM Viscera and all of the Fever Dream maps, as well as countless others. Join the party over at the souvenir shop. Doesn't look like this place is particularly well maintained. I don't believe I've seen these designs before. Oh, I see. They're like children's arts and crafts using plates and like that crinkly paper, construction paper. Although in practice, you just kind of look like all the weirdest art at like some Soviet children's camp. But we do have merchandise on the shelves. Oh, I'm going to grab me a chica. Oh, they glued their feet to the racks. You stand out from the others. I'm going to have to get somebody to like fully explain the lore to me. I think my sister knows a bit about it. But I don't know, it's one of those things where like it's really interesting up to a point, and then I feel like it becomes too big for its own good. Which I suppose makes sense up until a point, because success kind of demands more entries. But at a certain stage, like, you just have to keep adding new story onto something that wasn't really meant to support more growth. Let's go have a look at that arcade over there. Honestly, I'm kind of grateful for the music. Having something that doesn't chill my bones to hear is something I appreciate at this hour. Although the fact that each machine has the eyes of the animatronics peeking out from each subsequent one in the row, it kind of makes it hard not to feel watched, even when the screens themselves are all blank. Party time. Did you really have to use a picture for the poster where the animatronic is blinking? Also, imagine that. I like to imagine that the eyes were fully open when they pressed the shutter. Speaking of shutters, what happened here? We're in the back areas now. You know, I know that there's probably no animatronic models on this. They're probably even leaving room for you to use, like, SNPCs or something. But I still can't help but feel like I should be keeping an eye out. So, what is that? Did someone slip and knock that gigantic hole in the wall? Clumsy, clumsy. Also, did I open that door? I don't think I've been this far. This is just another example of one of Five Nights at Freddy's biggest themes, though. Look at how grimy and gross this kitchen is. This whole industrial-scale operation. And yet up front, it's a children's play place, a children's wonderland. Well, I've got to wonder just how much they actually appreciate this place. There's a Chuck E. Cheese near me that I have no idea how it stays in business. I don't know, I've just always felt like it's intrinsic to animatronics, the feeling of being left behind. It's the kind of establishment that kids probably don't really visit too much anymore because we brought all our entertainment home. And even though it's easier and more convenient, the kind of thing we all always wanted, it's hard not to think that we haven't lost something as a result. Freddy Fazbears has a basement. I didn't know that. Did you know that? And this vent leads outside. You know what? In my role as a security guard, I know I shouldn't break this open, but I also feel like it would be good to have the means of escape in a pinch. That door's just been straight up knocked off its hinges. I know I'm probably not supposed to carry a gun in this role, but I feel like this is the time, if ever, for the safety Glock. What it'll actually do against animatronics, I don't know, but I've got to keep hope alive, right? That's why it's the safety Glock. It's basically a safety blanket. There's parking around back. But it looks like this is probably more for employees, more disused. Because here's where all the garage doors and such are. This whole back area is much more the vibe that originally drew me to this game. Because look at all this dirt that's like caked onto the walls and floors. All this clutter that's just scattered about without anyone even bothering to pick it up. It feels abandoned even though it technically isn't yet. In the first game, it felt like you were doing a thankless job that you're only there as a technicality, and you're just sort of witnessing the end stage of something that was probably once like such an important part of people's childhoods. In a way, it's almost like the malice that you feel when you look into the eyes of these posters and such is like an anger at being abandoned. Like we grew up and without a second thought just left these special things behind. This must be the old dining area. I think I'm starting to understand now. All the modern stuff that we see, that's all built essentially on top of the ruins of this place. But it's weird to see these things also uniformly knocked over. Like a whole bunch of kids were gathered and ready for their party, and all of them in unison just stood up and ran off. I keep occasionally hearing that noise, but not from any particular direction. This is why we carry the safety Glock. Yeah, look, this must be the old stage. That is so cool. Going from the front and working our way into the back area. In our curiosity, we sort of unpeel the layers and find what this place is hiding just beyond the facade. And facades are just such a huge part of Five Nights at Freddy's themes. This leads to that back area. And here's another staircase, probably to the other end of the basement. That one looks like it's seen some things. Oh my god. Oh my god, there might actually be something here. This is so much worse when you're not glued to a desk. Because now it's a cat and mouse game. Yeah, this must be the new kitchen. But as I was saying, you know, facades are such a huge part of the themes of Five Nights at Freddy's. The facade of, like, the real evil hiding behind people, the hidden motivations for putting forth this children's entertainment, which they accept at face value. More basement stairs. And then there's, of course, the more literal facade. Those metal hulks that are hiding just beneath those child-friendly masks. But over time, just due to neglect, even the masks are starting to falter. God, this place is so huge. I don't even know where I've ended up. It's also really weird and old style to even have all these rooms like this. Because usually a place like this will be its big open floor, and then just the back areas for employees. It's kind of weird to have like separate dining areas, especially a whole disused section in the back. But it seems like we've worked our way back around. Sorry, out of order. I was holding my breath, peeking behind that curtain. You know, oddly enough, this map for me so far is scarier than actual Five Nights at Freddy's, which is really an accomplishment, I think. God, imagine if I had turned the lights out, but now... Oh, right, we haven't even been to the vintage pizza area. All right, let's check it out. This is almost giving me, like, The Shining vibes. Coming in here, being reassured at first by that music, but then thinking that it shouldn't be playing. It's the middle of the night. There's no party on. But back here, this feels more like the scale this kind of operation should be running. The fact that this is so huge, I don't know. it's really cool to be walking through, like, this place's different eras. It's rising and falling of popularity, each time leaving behind a different iteration of the same idea. I don't know, if there's one thing I do like about the fact that Five Nights at Freddy's as a franchise just won't die, it's that the same seems to be true of the franchises that inspired it. I would not put it past this creator to hide something back here. Is this going to be a side entrance? Come on. Open. Oh, there is actually a side there, but it's kind of dark out the windows. Each of these places has its own light switches, but I wonder if there's actually like a central point where we can turn them out from. Here we are, the one and only, the original booth. Okay, well, of course we have to mess with this for at least a second, right? You see this? This was your fortress in the first game. It was a very imperfect fortress, but it was yours, and that was part of what added to the vibe. It was all about just staying where you were and trying to keep the horrors out while praying for daylight. Here's the box of parts. Look into those black eyes when there's none of the plastic poking through. God. The thing is, I think what these places are like at night, what is underneath the skin of the animatronics is something that every kid sort of thinks about. I think these places have always been creepy. It's just that, you know, when your friends are there and there's games and pizza, it's really easy to just kind of not think about it. But the security guard has no such luxury. A place like this, it punishes the curious. Or I suppose rewards them, depending on what it is they're looking for. Actually, I'm running into a lot of doors I haven't opened. Most of them go to these back areas, which I think I've mostly seen. But even still, it's kind of hard to keep a sense of direction. It's actually crazy how winding this place is. Oh, there's a staircase right here. Actually, does it possibly go down even further? I'm not sure. It's an even older security room. Man, the layers of this, it's so weird to see all this existing simultaneously, like just straight up building new instead of a full renovation. I don't know, it almost gives the impression that for one reason or another, this place won't let you completely get rid of the past. Nope, it's just the one level. Which, wow, these are some high ceilings for a basement. And a lot of open space. Imagine like a modern VR Five Nights at Freddy's game that's actually just this, you know? That's kind of abandoning a lot of the more kid-friendly elements that have been introduced over time. And it's just like a serious, gritty game where you actually have to go on patrol on the night shift. This section has already been broken open. Hello, what is this? Come on, let me through. A generator. I wonder if we can just straight up kill the power from here. Actually, it looks like we very likely can. It even has some limitations, I guess. Did not expect that to open so quickly. Let's take a jump and get our footsteps back. They're kind of the only thing keeping me sane right now. Another staircase. Even the basement seems to have some parts that are older than others. And a whole lot of rotten neglect. Ooh. Okay, looks like this is mostly just a whole lot of open storage space. Imagine being a kid and just kind of wandering off from the rest of the party. You think, oh, this is boring. I want to go explore what's in the back. And finding that the place is actually several times larger than you thought. And stuff like that is waiting around every corner. Oh my god. Does this open? It does. And it leads back to here. I just caught like the faintest hint of the music from the vintage area. Like every once in a while, I'll just hear something fade in, and as soon as I realize it's there, it's gone. Look, they've even got like little storage units down here. Complete with a little collector's room. Come on. This is so weird. Like, it's even sealed off from the inside. Like, somebody didn't want anybody coming in and seeing their collection. Even weirder, considering it's not like these things are exactly rare upstairs. What is this? Some kind of big, like, gift-wrapped box? One which I cannot seem to interact with. The thing about these sounds is that they are very directional. They're very directional and therefore very concerning. We can break into these other units as well. Come on. Oh, or they just open. Come on. Back here seems to be a bit more mundane, though. Come on. Which makes that last unit all the stranger. And these are the vents that we were just peeking into. I don't like this. I'm actually sweating. If you're watching this with headphones, you're having a time right now. This probably leads back up to vintage, if my sense of direction is correct. I'm actually just running around down here in a panic, trying to make sure I see everything. But in the end, I'm just getting led around in circles. This place is a maze. And in some ways, seemingly deliberately so. Look, this is walled off. Is this even a disused part of the basement? Even the lights aren't on. Hey, come on. This door button doesn't seem to want to work. Yeah, somehow the fact that I can hear that music down here is the opposite of comforting. But those stairs are very comforting. Let's get up there. Let's go. I really don't like being here. I feel so watched seeing these balloons out on the table, hearing the music from parties decades past. I don't like being here. I feel more watched than on, like, most maps I've explored. And if anything, this whole experience has just reaffirmed for me why Five Nights at Freddy's is such a creepy idea. And yet, this place just feels so haunted. Like, I don't need to even see anything. I mean, I heard plenty. To feel like this place is just unnecessarily large, and when you start to peel back the layers, the fact that there's so much more going on here becomes so readily apparent. Something I always loved about the story in the first game is how you never really knew exactly what was going on. I mean, you knew that you had to avoid the electronics, you knew that they were malfunctioning in some way. But over the course of the game, you started to learn that, like, they were behaving in a way that goes beyond just a malfunction, that there was something more to them that even your boss can't really quite explain. Even independent of Five Nights at Freddy's lore, though, this map is nailing the creepy and comfy feelings that come with a night security job. Wandering all alone at night in this cavernous place, hearing nothing but the echo of our own footsteps and the occasional 24/7 music that drifts down the hall. Anytime you approach said music, you don't know whether you should be grateful for the company or upset that you can't hear something approach behind you. That felt like it just stopped as I approached. That was kind of creepy. But yeah, it's just you always feel eyes on you. Every once in a while, you get curious and decide to start exploring the basement or the back rooms, and you feel like you're somewhere you're not supposed to be, even if watching over it is your job, you know? Like you've picked some forbidden fruit, and any moment you're going to pay the price, whatever form that takes. Of course, when I say feeling eyes on you, I mean that literally. Doing a job like this, you would inevitably get bored just sitting in your booth all night and explore places that maybe aren't part of your duties. You start checking out all these back rooms, and you start to peel back the layers of history of this place in a way that's both fascinating and really creepy. It almost feels like you're entering the lair of some ancient sealed-away evil. Something which you then realize has just been attached to this building that you work in all this time, and you just weren't even aware of. It's something that we just don't think about anymore. That's the worst part, the fact that this isn't abandoned, but is just sort of like tacked on, hidden away from something that is still very much in use. You'll go back to your desk thinking, what if something follows me out of here? It just, like, exudes malevolence, and it's weird. It's like workplace archaeology. It kind of reminds me of when I was bored in gym during high school, and I would go down into the tunnels that made up the fallout shelter, all from the 50s and no longer really useful today. But I couldn't help but go back to class thinking, all of this is right under my feet right now. And then, of course, there's the thing I probably most appreciate, which is that every once in a while, you'll hear a sound echo down those halls that you can't explain is just the system still running. I actually just remembered, I never did check out this door over here. Whoa, it's like a whole warehouse. Man, this is a much, much bigger operation than I would have believed from the first game. And I really wondered just how much this is a recreation and how much of it is just sort of combining all these ideas into, like, the ultimate Five Nights at Freddy's experience. Oh, look at that. It actually connects right back here. Man, how did I not notice this? Yeah, man, you turn out the lights and throw some SNPCs in here, and you've got a creepy Five Nights at Freddy's experience right here in Gary's mod. Why is this the best Five Nights at Freddy's game? This place is huge, and I'm sure there's stuff I missed, especially in the basement, which I kinda chickened out of. So I think now would be a good time for a no-clip run. Yep. You know, wow, look at all this. Whoa, hello, what is all this? Hang on, how do we get there? Looks like there's a vent going this way. Man, I will always find it creepy, the idea of disused areas of an active building. What in the heck is this? Like, this is not the kind of thing you expect to see in a pizza restaurant, right? I'm not the crazy one here. Is there anything inside this box? I've got to know. There isn't, but it is nonetheless extremely creepy. Almost as creepy as you sitting back there. That was weird. So I actually went looking for this area for a reason. And it's because I think I might have seen something, and combined with that sound, and with these seams that I notice, this wall is quite suspicious. Safety Glock, would you like to do the honors? Yeah, that seems to be consistently coming from here. You're making a unique sound. Oh, God. Secret room. There's a lot of disused spaces in here. This is the one they bothered to wall off. Oh, wait. Out here, look. There's all these chunks torn out of the wall. It's like somebody was looking for this and wasn't able to find it. Does this have history? An office. There's a door in the back, one that's been knocked in. I wonder if there's like a key card that can be found or something, but I think, you know, since we are technically in the middle of our no-clip run, look at this, just a single red light hanging over this desk. Ooh, and a note on the table that we can potentially read. That's a blood stain. And a chain where someone may have been hung from. Did something just pound on the door? Okay, let's read, I guess. April 20th, 1995. I keep hearing whispers, like noises, all around the restaurant. It started after I destroyed those old suits. And what scares me most is that I think it's the children. They killed that guard back in '93, so I really do not think the assumption is far off. There's no one else in the building for them to target, and on top of that, I'm most likely who they want. How does one fight ghosts? I'm sure this room and this note are very meaningful for people who are well versed in this game's lore, but to me, this is just so hair-raisingly ambiguous. I feel like the noises are actually a lot more frequent now. I just noticed all this. So tell me, why would they be targeting you? Are you perhaps the one responsible? I know that in the game, there was a serial killer who was using the suits. In fact, I think the bodies may have even been hidden within them. Okay, can we open this from this side? Nope. This is such a cool secret, though, because it works all on its own. Say you don't know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's, never even heard of it. This map will still give you these feelings. And it will still have this very well-hidden secret that, on some level, you will probably always feel must be here. But it's so difficult and so unlikely for you to actually find, no matter how much exploring you do. It's only if one day you decide to really investigate that suspicious wall that you'll find that your fears may have been justified. That this place possibly really is haunted and, at the very least, is covering up a dark secret. There's only one thing I still haven't done, and I don't like it. But I've got to do it, at least once. This is true darkness. It's only our flashlight. I want to be upstairs. Not that that makes things much better. I also reset. That's why a lot of the doors are closed now. Oh, it is totally silent. New thought. Imagine being a security guard here during a power outage. My God. That sucks. Now I don't know if this is gonna... My God. I don't know if the generator is going to stay off for 2 minutes, or if it can only be turned on again after 2 minutes. Those lights are still on. Oh my God! Jeez. Freddy, don't load in at the edge of the light like that. This is the worst. Okay, there's outside. There is outside. The fact that this spooked right now, I think shows how much potential this still has, despite its reputation, and despite like where the franchise has gone. Let's just yeah, the music too does stop, so at least we've got that going for us. Let's just curl into the fetal position in our little booth. I don't think we can close the door. Oh, we can, but you're still on a timer. And just kind of wait here for our relief to get here. Look at that. I've just realized even the fan stopped spinning. God, this map is just so cool in so many ways. And I just wonder, like, what you can actually do on it as far as gameplay. I mean, this was a blast to explore and so atmospheric. But Gmod players being what they are, I imagine there's probably like a game mode or SNPCs or something that you can have roam around and add even another dimension to this. But until our relief gets here, if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.